Hello and welcome to the season 8 finale of the Black and White podcast. We have come to our summer hiatus, joined as always by Black James. I am White James. Black James, here we are, end of June. We need a little summer break. But Black James, let me say this quick. If there is a story that needs to have an emergency pod for the next 2 months, we reserve the right
Of
to come
course.
back and
Of
give you some
course.
bonus material. This is not a goodbye. This is a until we see you next. Black James, how you doing? How is the early summer treating you?
White James, you would not believe a big piece of tonight's Showtime situation. Your boy has a green thumb. I know you've been maintaining lawns across our region. Black James is out in these gardens.
Wow.
Trying to grow some greenery, some maize, maybe a few tomatoes and peppers. So yeah, I'm loving it. Loving summer.
All right, Black James. Well, no time for pleasantries because we have to jump right in. This is
Yes, we
going to
do.
be a nice, tight and tidy season finale. But Black James, my goodness, I know it's been 2 weeks since our last show. We apologize to our listeners for waiting for reactions on the NBA Finals, the trades that are going on, injuries, U.S. Open, all that good stuff. But here we are, Black James. We're gonna get to it all, even in this tightened, confined space. Black James, let's talk right off the bat. NBA Finals, Game 7, Sunday night. Thunder win it. Halliburton goes down injured. Achilles out for next year, most likely. Black James, I will ask you a very simple question. Do you put any asterisk on the Thunder championship because of the injury that occurred in Game 7?
Unfortunately, there's a huge asterisk, and I'm going to have to say it occurred exactly at the 5-minute mark of Game 7. Game is tied 16-16. The lead scorer for Indiana is on a hot streak at this time. I believe he had hit 2 threes, 3 threes, something like that. At that point, he had 197 assists throughout the postseason, most in Pacers history. And unfortunately, tragedy struck.
Nembhard kicks it out. Toppin. Good contest from Dort. Halliburton falls down. He looks hurt. Here comes SGA the other way. Inside, and Williams throws it down.
I got to say, White James, I think that 3-second back and forth kind of sums it all up. The second Halliburton goes down, OKC's on a fast break, dunking it, home crowd's going crazy, and that was it for the team that could have been. I don't want to say that I was necessarily rooting against the Thunder. I think it's always great for a quote-unquote small market as a Milwaukee kid ourselves to empathize and root for those people. But at the same time, yeah, to answer your question, I have to put an asterisk next to it because they had just gotten smoked in Game 6. And here we are. Even after Hallie went out, there was a 1-point lead by the Pacers going into halftime. Now, of course, after that, that's all she wrote. And the Thunder would win handily after that. But I just have to say, when it comes to these finals and these playoffs, I know you're not asking me this question necessarily, but yeah, when it comes to what I'm going to remember of the 2024-2025 playoffs,
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs?
is the buzzer beater abilities of the man who just went down.
Black James, I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to back off a little bit on putting an asterisk on it simply because Oklahoma City was the best team in the regular season, one of the greatest all-time seasons by one team. They were unbelievably good in the playoffs. I get it. When it came down to that moment in Game 7, the fact that the Pacers did not have their best player in that game it's less of a asterisk on the Thunder. It's more of a what if for the Pacers because there is no guarantee they ever get back to this point, right?
No.
Like this was their golden opportunity. I don't care if they have to go on the road in that game 7. Like you said, they're coming off of a dominant win in game 6. Momentum is on their side. They are the team that everyone doubted game after game, underdog after underdog. No matter what they did, the Thunder were always going to be considered the favorites and were booked as such. So for them, this was what you dream of as the ultimate underdog story. The team that nobody gave a chance to almost pulled it out, and now it's absolute unknowns for them going forward, having to play without Halliburton for likely at least one season. And when we tip it off 2 years from now, right, fall of 2026,
crazy.
Like, what will the Pacers even look like? Like, it's a real question. So Black James, let's just put a bow on the NBA this year. Love what the Apron Era, if you will, has brought to this league, because it is no longer coastal big markets hoarding the best talent. Yes, you can make a run at a championship the way Boston did and assemble a lot of talent. But at a certain point, you can no longer financially afford to have that group together. Like, literally, the team that won the title in 24 is breaking itself apart, partly because of the Tatum injury, but also because the $500 million tax bill that they were looking at if they tried to keep it together. So, Black James, I love where the NBA is at. The on-court stuff, three-point shooting, all that stuff, it's not great. But when you're talking about competitive balance in this league, I think the NBA has really hit on this apron system where if you want to invest and go all in, you can do so. But if you do so, it will come at a long-term price, no pun intended.
And to that point, I got a quick ask, White James, what has been your favorite champion of the Apron Era? I love that term. Quick question, and I'm going to do the classic, but you can't choose 7 out of 10. You can't pick the Bucks. So outside of the Bucks, last 7 years, you got the Lakers, you got the 4th ring for the Warriors, the Nuggets, Celtics, and now the Thunder. Who's really, caught your eye in terms of upstarts winning it all?
Oklahoma City's low-hanging fruit because of how they set up for the future. So I'll go Denver, because that's a team very much like the Bucks, built on an international superstar, and just figured out a way to put the pieces around him and catch fire at the right time, and then ultimately, burn out 2 years later when you're firing your coach. It's a very similar story to what the Bucks did. So I'm going to answer your question with the Denver Nuggets. All right, Black James, I want to ask you a very quick question, because this is a deep dive topic, and it is injuries that have occurred in the NBA this season, specifically Achilles tendon tears. There were 8 of them in the league this season, including 3 high-profile Achilles tears in the playoffs: Dame Lillard, Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton. Black James, is it time to have the conversation about shortening the regular season? Because the Achilles injuries are 100% a fatigue injury. We know in the Halliburton situation, he was playing on a compromised calf, which probably contributed to the Achilles tear. Black James, is it time for the owners and the players to say, hey, guess what? We'll take a little less money if it means longer long-term vitality for the players? Because to me, it seems like, money aside, the 82-game regular season is about 15 games too long.
Bro, this has been one of my number one complaints when it comes to the sports calendar. Nobody, and I don't want to insult people who prefer basketball over football, but as Black James, I'm going to say nobody in their right mind is watching a Magic Charlotte October 28th matchup when the teams are 3-2. It's just not happening when you've got a full week of NFL and college football, literally 5 nights a week. Thursday, Friday with Fox, Saturday, college football, Sunday, Monday. That's 5 nights right there of football. It just doesn't make any sense if I'm the commissioner. Why am I competing against football in its heyday? It is literally built for fall, early winter. Ain't no reason for NBA to be playing before Christmas. And to cap off my point, they used to own Christmas, and now they let Goodell eat their lunch by way of Netflix showing games on Christmas Day. So, Black James' opinion, opening day, make it Christmas, or maybe the week of Christmas when the kids are home from school. That would be a great way to solve this problem.
Black James, I mean, you turn back the clock to the post-COVID season, 2020, 2021. Because of the bubble, they did not start the regular season until December 22nd. Finished mid-July. Black James, I think that is a much better calendar for the NBA. I'm with you. Don't even contend September, October, November. Become relevant January through July. Playoff games, May, June, July. Like, take over that window.
Heck
right?
Yeah.
Post NFL draft, and all you're competing with is Major League Baseball. Carve that niche out, cut it down to 66 games, something like that. Black James, it's going to take a lot of convincing of the owners because, again, taking games away meaning you are taking money out of their pockets. But if you ask the new owners for the Boston Celtics, who just spent, a couple $1 billion on this team, that all of a sudden your best player is now out for the year and that you could potentially avoid these situations. Look, you're never going to take injuries out of the sport. There will always be an obstacle. But when the amount and the specific type of injury, the Achilles injuries that we have seen, Black James, it is at least worth having the conversation.
Please.
Perfect transition. Former Achilles tendon tear Kevin Durant has a new team, or at least will have a new team when the next league calendar year opens July 6th. He was traded to the Houston Rockets. Black James, I'm going to make a very contradictory statement. I'm going to straight contradict myself and say that this was a good deal for Houston, but it's also not going to make a single difference in terms of a championship mover, if you will, for the Rockets, right? This will make them, Kevin Durant will make them a better team because he addresses their biggest weakness, which was offense, which was a player who can get his by himself, right? Houston did not have that, and they did not give up really anything of value. I mean, Jalen Green is, if he's what the deal was built around. Phoenix cannot be happy with what they are getting back. Basically a guy who is he is what he is this early in his career. Not a great return, and just Dylan Brooks, a first-round pick this year, number 10, I believe, and 5 second-round picks. Look, Houston got a good deal here, which I like that for them. They did not have to give up any great assets to get Kevin Durant, but I don't think in this Apron era that we've mentioned, and the depth era, the younger generation that is taking over the league, I don't think a soon-to-be 37-year-old is going to be the one that will get you over the line. And oh, by the way, Black James, to end the rant, we've seen this in Brooklyn, we've seen it in Phoenix. Kevin Durant was not the answer to bring those franchises a championship. Houston, again, it was a great deal because you didn't give up too much, but don't get your hopes up here to get a championship with a aged Kevin Durant.
All I'll say is Houston is one of the most popular cities for NBA players, and KD has a quote out there saying that he was very much in control of where he wanted to be sent to. So congrats on him for getting what he wanted. congrats for being able to play against or alongside Shangun, which is one of my favorite names to say. And good riddance to Dylan Brooks. I've never liked him ever since his time on Memphis. So that's just Black James's way of saying I think it's a winning trade all the way around. Phoenix is completely hamstrung by that Bradley Beal deal. So the Suns are pretty much a irrelevant franchise. Again, great for KD to get out. And I mean, I know you're saying it's not going to make any difference, but they just extended Ime Udoka's contract. They finished second in the Western Conference this year, 52 wins, 30 losses. I know that doesn't mean much. I mean, the Lakers had an identical record. We know what happened to them. But all in all, White James, I think this is just a fascinating insight into our next topic, which I'm going to transition us into, which is Houston was on a lot of people's short list for the Greek Freak to be sent off to. With that more or less off the table, what do you think? Or is it still applicable?
Black James, I want to retract, or not, I shouldn't say retract. I want to take back a little bit of my conviction of my trade Giannis rant from about 2 years ago, because things have changed significantly in the last 6 weeks in the Eastern Conference. Look, the Bucks are no closer to being a championship contender, but everybody else has come back to the pack, specifically Boston and specifically the Indiana Pacers. So, look, if you would ask me now if I would still trade Giannis, if the package was unbelievable, overwhelming, players and picks, but the only team that I genuinely thought could give you that combination was Oklahoma City, and they're not blowing that team up coming off a championship, right? So like what Houston had to offer doesn't cut it. What San Antonio has to offer, you know, Steven Castle, okay, rookie of the year, but Michael Carter Williams won rookie of the year too. That didn't make him a all-star caliber player.
Okay.
So look, I'm definitely sleeping on all these rumors, and not even rumors, Black James. It's people firing up the ESPN trade machine and say, "Oh, look at the deal that I can make for, you know, Miami, for Toronto." Like all these teams that the Bucks, they're not going to even answer the phone because they know the players that are going to be offered and the draft picks that are available just aren't going to, you know, they're not going to roll out of bed for that. So, so I'm everything I'm reading now, you know, the ESPN people, the NBA quote unquote insiders are pretty much saying if a trade happens, I mean, it will be a shocking development because you know, Giannis has not come out and said he wants to be traded. The Bucks seem pretty clear that they are trying to, whatever options they have with contracts and cap room and exemptions and, you know, trades, whatever they can do, they're going to put a competent team out there this year, and they have the best player in the Eastern Conference
easily,
and could make a run at an NBA Finals. Where, let's be honest, you go back to 2019, and with what happened to Golden State, they look like they're on their way to another title. Durant gets hurt, Klay Thompson gets hurt, Toronto wins the title. You just never know with injuries. And that's you're kind of betting on that at this point. But look, as much as I wanted to see Giannis get moved for the well-being of the Bucks going forward, I am more than happy for him to be sticking around, you know, at least for the next 2 years for sure, a player option for that third season out. Look, I shouldn't have been so desperate to move him, especially considering that Indiana series, that Pacer team was on their way to a almost a destinic. I'm trying to make up a word here, but a run of destiny to a potential championship. And the Bucks genuinely had a chance in that series. If they don't blow it in Game 5, you come back for Game 6, and then you might be playing a Game 7 where who knows what happens. But Black James, just to sum it all up, I'm off the Giannis bandwagon, the trade bandwagon, and I apologize to him. Hopefully he did not listen to me saying trade Giannis for the love of all things holy. Black James, end of story.
All I'll say is keep Giannis in Milwaukee in the East, and I called it as soon as the finals wrapped up. Next year, Rockets v. Pistons. I think the Pistons are who you need to keep an eye on out of the East. As you said, it's wide open. Milwaukee and Giannis aside, Cade Cunningham, wait a minute. He's got some running mates, Dennis Schroeder. It's not nothing out there. And I love what Bickerstaff has done, turning that team around as well. So you're here to hear first, folks. Black James is calling out Detroit as the Pacers of next year's playoffs out of the East.
Detroit basketball. All right, Black James. Let's wrap up, put a bow on the basketball season. Let's go to birdies and bogeys with Black James. We're a little late, just a little, 1 week late on the golf talk, but Black James, we have to go back to what happened at Oakmont on Father's Day Sunday. JJ Spaun brings it home. Black James, take it away.
Let's go ahead and go back in time.
It was Spaun who went to work right away, took advantage of that, and his short game has been impeccable.
Also, I saw him helping him with reading putts today, warming up and visualizing where he wanted the ball to roll. That's all JJ's going through right here, is seeing the visual where he wants this ball to roll halfway there, and as it crests and rolls down towards the hole.
Just want to cozy it up. Don't need to make it. 2 putts.
$125th U.S. Open champion, JJ Spaun. Insane, as the announcers would go on to say, completely unexpected, out of nowhere. Scotty had entered the event with Tiger-like odds. He drifted away very early into the tournament. Rory was a no-show. Bryson, all the big names barely made it into the cut over the weekend. You get the rain delay. I am going to already address the quote-unquote asterisk talk around that, but hey, everyone had to deal with the incredibly soggy conditions. My heart goes out to the player who tried to get relief out of a literal puddle, and the USGA said, nah, bro, go ahead and hit it out of those 3 inches of water, and there went his chances. But yeah, people were just peeling off as Sunday went deeper and deeper after the hours-long rain delay. JJ would go on to state that he did very much get a huge benefit. He literally changed his clothes. He came out a new man and was able to defeat Oakmont White James. And that with that, 65-foot birdie putt, he would go on to finish under par, literally the only guy with red numbers once it was all said and done. And yeah, I'm just so incredibly proud of him, because for people who listened to the Birdies and Bogeys segment with Black James, you'll remember that I was following him at the Players when it was him against Rory in that playoff. And unfortunately, at the Island Green of TPC Sawgrass, he would go on to hit his tee shot into the water. Every golfer's ultimate nightmare. Go on to lose that playoff to Rory. And here we are, less than 2-3 months later, and he goes from potentially winning the quote-unquote 5th major to conquering the USGA's latest and greatest test of wits, guile, and persistence. So super happy, super excited, and I had a great time.
Black James, I'm going to hit you with this question. Is JJ Spaun, is he going to be a regular contender to watch out for, or is this a one and done? Because this is a guy who I think it was well documented in the coverage. He was questioning if he's even going to be a professional golfer much longer. and here he is, has the tournament of his life, and here he is, a major champion. So Black James, is he a contender that you'll look to, or is this truly a once in a lifetime a win?
I hate to say it, but this is giving me one time flash in the pan kind of a win. Gary Woodland, I believe, won a U.S. Open at Pebble Beach and has not really contended ever since then. That's one of the most recent winners that come to mind.
Or what about Wyndham Clark 2 years ago?
Good point. And to that point, a lot of these U.S. Open winners have kind of been flash in the pan guys. So yeah, I'm not going to go off on a wild goose chase and say JJ's the next top 10 guy to keep an eye on. I'm simply resting on the laurels of how sweet this story is. Lovely family, almost gave up, stuck with it, went through the most, pit in your stomach moment that you can experience as a competitive golfer. And again, continue to grind, persist. And it was super cool that he's a former skateboarder. And at least I heard his caddy, because Black James is a huge nerd, on Golf Network, talking to the host there saying, oh yeah, JJ has amazing footwork and they use force plates to help with the weight transition. So a little tidbit for the avid golfers out there, that is where he got a lot of his steady, dependable, especially what powered that drive on the 17th, incredible drive up into the green, and then kept the ball in play on the 18th. So some cross-sport heritage there as well.
All right, Black James, I got one more golf question for you. I want to know your favorite major, because just to paint the picture for everyone, the Masters, it's got Augusta National, it's got that prestige to it. US Open, always considered the greatest challenge in golf. British Open, kind of the link style, old, taking it back to the beginnings of the sport. And the PGA, kind of, I don't know, it's the most people entered. I don't know. Which of the four majors is Black James's favorite?
I don't want to go off of a recency bias or be a homer, but holy smokes, folks, you're going to hear this before 4th of July. Love the US of A, and for that reason, I got to go with the USGA's tournament. I am a huge fan of them trying to punish the golfers. I do have that sadistic enjoyment of watching the world's best suffer at Chambers Bay, suffer at Torrey Pines, the Olympic Club, Bethpage Black with the literal warning sign. This is only for those who know what they're getting themselves into. The undulating greens of Pinehurst. There's just a really wonderful roster of courses that particular major seems to be focused on. And the rest, I know they have their pluses. One of them have quite a few minuses that I won't get into now. But yeah, US Open.
Black James, I'm with you, and let's just be real here, though. They're playing golf. There's suffering is a dramatic term here. Like, let's be honest here. We suffer when we play golf, right?
Yeah.
These guys, they're professionals, but I'm with you. I love to see, a birdie being a great score, right? Like, we're gonna see tournaments where guys are 25, 30 under par, where it's birdie after birdie. I like to see this where you make even the smallest of mistake. Heck, you could hit a great shot and you get one bad bounce and you are in 6 inches of rough and no chance. Where what did Mike Tirico call it? US Open pars. Yeah, like to make a US Open par is it feels like a birdie, right? If you get into into the off-roading, if you will. And I think Oakmont was an unbelievably well-prepared course. They dealt with a ton of rain
Heck yeah.
early in the week and, of course, on Sunday as well. There is no water on that course. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's no
you're right.
water hazards.
Yeah.
But man, as challenging as that course was, I genuinely enjoy U.S. Opens over, and I get it. Masters has the prestige, has all the flowers, whatever, and it's got its own. People love the Masters. I get that, but for me and my money, I love to watch U.S. Opens. I just think the challenge is what we want to see as golf fans.
Reach.
All right, Black James, how much time you want to give me to talk baseball? Because you've been promising it. You've been promising it for weeks.
That's true. That's true. Let's give the folks a good 10 minutes. I will do a very small preamble in that what I love about the modern day baseball culture is kind of the opposite of what you were praising in the Apron Era of the NBA. Here we've got LA, NYC, spending to the tilt. Literal billionaire owner of the Dodgers just went out and bought the LA basketball team. So it's all about the kashish. But at the same time, there is a ton of drama. I like seeing that rivalry between the Padres and the Dodgers. And hey, you got Aaron Judge, maybe, just maybe, chasing another home run record year. That's what I've seen. That's what I know. White James, take it away.
I don't mean 10 minutes. Give me 3. I'll just say baseball is in a good place right now because the sport is watchable.
Yes.
With the pitch clock, it flows so much better than what it did 5 years ago. Yes, similar to the NBA where everyone shoots threes. Yes, there are a lot of strikeouts, and I know that hurts people, traditionalists, if you will, who are taught about, choking up with 2 strikes, where strikeouts were considered a bad thing. Now it's just part of the game. Look, it is what it is. But the game as a whole, the competitiveness, yes, your LA and New York markets are doing very well right now. But because of the revenue sharing that the baseball CBA allows for, it allows for smaller market teams to stay competitive. Okay. Now, does that mean they can re-sign all their players? No, by no means. They cannot compete financially with the LAs, the New Yorks, Chicagos of the world. But the baseball model, the MLB model that they have right now, where they give the small teams at least some level of financial injection of money to at least, have the funds to develop your players and keep them around. I mean, look at Jackson Chourio for the Brewers. He signed a 10-year deal, 8-year deal, something like that, before he had even played a major league game. Those deals were not a thing 10, 15 years ago. So I like where baseball is at right now. You got Aaron Judge for the Yankees, Shohei Ohtani for the Dodgers. You have faces of the game who are I don't want to say they're clean because we think they are, but compared to the years past where guys were juiced up and you always wondered, is this product on the field an authentic product? I think in today's game baseball took a long time to get over the steroid era.
Right.
And I made a statement. It was outlandish. It's a little, I got to admit. But I said that the pitch clock in baseball is the best thing to happen since steroids. You hate to say it, but the 90s in baseball was some of the best entertainment the sport has ever seen. Morally, it was not good, right? No. Cheating is cheating, but from an entertainment standpoint, the summer of '98, McGuire versus Sosa, like that stuff, you can't ever emulate that in today's social media, TikTok world. Like that was so organic, with an asterisk though, right? But we finally, I feel like, have gotten to a place where we have recognizable players on the big teams, but yet they're still teams like the Brewers, very competitive this season with a bunch of no-name guys. You love to see it, but Black James, I gotta forewarn you right now. The current baseball CBA runs out at the end of the 2026 season. and there are already talks about work stoppages. And look, the owners want more money, the players want more money. There's only so much money to go around. It's you hate to see it because baseball has had a history. 1994, the World Series was canceled because of a work stoppage. These owners aren't afraid to say, we're not going to come and play if we don't get what we want. And look, I mentioned the revenue sharing. It's great for the small market teams, but the big market teams, they want a bigger piece of the pie. And there's a whole issue about regional sports networks and broadcasting rights. And MLB wants to basically bring it all under one roof, which takes away a large revenue stream. So, Black James, there's a lot going on behind the scenes. But as of right now, the on-the-field product is, I'd say, genuinely enjoyable to watch. Sit down. Oh, there's a baseball game on. Click it on. You can enjoy it, watch it, see a couple guys hit home runs. So, look, baseball, we'll talk more about it come fall when we get to playoff time, World Series, and all that. But, yeah, if you get a chance, check out the Brewers this year. Fun team. Got off to a rough start, but they've been playing much, much better as of late. And this Black James, I don't know if you know the name yet, Jacob Mizorowski, throwing 102 miles an hour and a 96-mile-an-hour slider. Looked great again today. 5 shutout innings against Paul Skeens and the Pirates. He looks to be the real deal. Already the odds-on favorite for National League Rookie of the Year, and he's only made 3 starts for the Brewers. So if you haven't checked him out, Black James, you got to see this kid pitch. He is unbelievable.
How great is that?
Holy smokes, folks. We do have to say one last thing before we hop off the air, and that is the annual Black and White golf outing. We have got that on the calendar, August 2nd. Please send us an email. We've got that in the podcast description. Spots are open. We'd love to have you out there. If we don't talk to you between now and then, it's been an incredible season of the Black and White. White James, let's close out with one last surprise segment because this is actually momentous. We have never had this many episodes in a season of the Black and White pod. This goes all the way back to September of 2024. We covered the full NFL season, college basketball season, NBA season. We've touched on baseball. We've had wonderful guests. I'll lead things off here. I have to say my favorite moment of the year would have to be the Eagles Super Bowl, where we had a Brown Deer player on the field. Apologies, Zach Baun. Yes, it just came to me. Zach Baun, product of BD, our alum. That to me is going to be something I remember most from the content that we covered this year.
Yeah, Black James, I wish you would have told me. I would have thought about this
sorry.
But no,
gotta come from the heart.
I mean, not to pat ourselves on the back here, but yes, most episodes. I mean, it feels like we've expanded, right? We got the website blackandwhite.com. We got Jabroni Hotline 833 Jabroni. We feel like we've got a lot of small fires started that we just got to kind of grow. We got to build. I think season 9 looking like a big year. I just got to finish my academics in the fall, but we'll balance that out. Once we're done with that, I'm all in. Black James, we almost have to start thinking, what are we going to do for year 10? I mean, a 10-year anniversary for a podcast. I mean, come on now. Who would have thought?
Arugula.
Holy smokes.
Who would have thought? Not me.
But here we are, folks. And there you will be, again, hopefully August 2nd, joining us for the annual Black and White golf outing. Otherwise, as White James mentioned, if anything drops between now and late summer, we'll be sure to throw something online. Otherwise, till then, peace.
Peace.